Hey guys, today we're going to be taking a look at the Kuat NV 2.0 bike rack here on our 2021 Jeep Grand Cherokee L. So there's two main types of bike racks, hitch mounted bike racks that is. We have the hanging style and the platform style, which is what we see here. Now the platform style is going to be the most versatile. It's going to allow you to carry the most different kinds of bikes and bike frames. It's also, the biggest feature is going to allow you to carry heavier bikes. It seems like nowadays there's more and more people using electric bikes, which you cannot carry on the hanging style rack due to their weight capacities. Therefore, you're definitely going to need a platform style bike for those electric bikes. There's also a lot of bikes now with a step-through frame, some of them quite severe. They come down all the way. I know beach cruisers have those frames a lot, and you actually can't use those on a hanging style bike rack either. Therefore, the platform style is going to be the perfect option for those odd framed bikes as well as the heavier e-bikes. Although platform bike racks are great because they work with the most different kinds of bikes, there is sort of one pitfall to that, is that they are kind of heavy, so they're a little bit cumbersome getting on and off the vehicle. So if you just have some bikes that aren't necessarily the most expensive bikes or lightweight road bikes like what we have here, then you could probably just get away with a hanging style bike rack and save yourself some money. But the NV 2.0 is a great option even for those bikes. Let's go ahead and go over some of those reasons now. Within that sort of platform bike rack category, there are two different kinds of platform racks. We have the wheel mount, which is what this is, and we also have a frame mount. Now, one thing you do need to be aware of with the wheel mount here, these are typically a little bit easier to use and more preferred compared to the frame mount. However, if you have any bikes with fenders, you won't be able to use this rack. You'll have to go with another option, but thankfully we have plenty of those to choose from here at eTrailer, such as a frame mount platform style rack. But again, people obviously prefer the wheel mount because it's much easier to use. And a lot of people ask us if they have fenders, if they can just simply secure the bike down here because the fender will probably extend to about here. Unfortunately, you can't do that. That's going to make this rack very unstable and you could potentially lose your bikes because it doesn't have to go much more before this can just slide right off and you'd lose your bike altogether. So if you have fenders, this is a no-go, but so long as you don't, it's going to be a great option for you. And again, that wheel hook style there is much easier to attach than the frame hook style. So one of the first features I'd like to point out of the NV 2.0 here is the accessibility we have to maintain the features on our vehicle with the rack and bike still in place. So let's say we're on our way to the trails, but we want to stop at the gas station. Maybe we need to get something out of the back, but we obviously have our bike rack attached with our bike. So most cases you'd actually have to remove the bike rack and your bikes to be able to get in the rear hatch. But thankfully, the NV 2.0 has a nice tilting feature, so we can tilt both the rack with our bike attached away from the vehicle so we can get into the hatch. This is very easy to do. We're going to come up here to this little lever in between our two wheel trays. We're going to pull that down, and then our bike is actually just going to tilt back. Now, we can open up the hatch on our vehicle here. You can see we have plenty of clearance there. We didn't have to worry about any interference with our bike. And now we can get any of the items that we need out of our hatch without having to remove the rack. And once our hatch is shut, all we have to do is just simply lift up on our rack and it'll lock back in place. Now we're ready to take off back down the road so we can hit the trails. So we've got our snacks at the gas station here. We've got everything we needed out of the back. We're ready to take our bike off and finally get to riding. It's very easy to do that on the NV. The first step is going to be coming to the back here. We're going to press this little gray lever and we're going to pull up on our wheel strap. We're going to pull that out from the spokes on our bike. And then what we're going to do is we're going to grab one hand on our bike. Now this step is kind of important. Definitely pay attention to this because once we remove the wheel hook, that's going to be the last thing holding our bike to the rack. We do get a couple occurrences of people forgetting to do this, not holding onto the bike, because once they release the wheel hook, it falls into the vehicle and causes damage. So we definitely want to make sure that we're aware that we have a hold of our bike here, because then all we need to do, again, super easy. We're going to press that little button there, lift up, shove down. Now we just grab our bike and we're off. So we've got a full day of riding in. We're just arriving back home for the evening, but we're tired from riding all day we don't necessarily want to worry about taking the bike rack off. But we have a tight parking space in our garage there, so we're not going to be able to fit the vehicle in the garage with our rack in this position here. Thankfully, we have a compact storage design here built into this rack. All we need to do is come up here to that same lever that we pulled earlier. We're going to just simply pull that, and then we're going to tilt up towards the vehicle. And now, as you can see here, this drastically reduces the overall length of your rack here. And in most cases, you should be able to park in your garage just fine without that extended length. So another great feature about this bike rack here is that it has a tool-free installation. Now, most of the other bike racks on the market require you to carry a separate socket or wrench with you in the vehicle so you can tighten and loosen the hitch bolt that secures it. However, with the NV 2.0 here, it doesn't actually use that hitch bolt. Therefore, you don't have to worry about keeping extra tools, possibly losing them. The way this works is we have a tightening mechanism here on the front of the rack. It's very easy to access. We can loosen and tighten that as needed. When it's in the loose position here, we can actually remove the rack using the hitch pin. There's a lock core there. We'll remove that, pull the pin out, and now we're ready to remove the rack. And when we're ready to re-secure it, we'll simply place our hitch pin back into position, and then we'll begin tightening this knob here. And what this does is that internal mechanism inside the shank, it actually pulls it tight to the hitch pin and pins it inside the receiver tube. As you can see here, once we get that thing tight, it's also going to act as an anti-rattle. Now, if you have nice bikes, chances are if you're looking at this bike rack, you probably do. We want to make sure that those are protected. We're driving down the road, we're hitting bumps, our bikes could be thrashing around back there. We don't want them to scratch, run into one another, or possibly fall and hit the vehicle. With that reduced movement there, you can see if I take a hold of this, give it a good shake, we're actually shaking the vehicle. Therefore, you know your bikes are going to be nice and secure while they're attached to the rack here. We have both a lock, a cable lock, that's going to lock our bikes to the rack here. This is what comes out of the bottom of the tray there. We also have a hitch pin lock that's going to lock our rack to the vehicle, which is what you see down here. And thankfully, both of those locks come with the one set of keys here. They're going to use the same key. Therefore, you don't have to worry about keeping multiple keys on you. So in our current configuration here of the NV 2.0, we have the 2-bike version. However, this rack is also available in a 4-bike version. Therefore, no matter if it's just us and a friend or we have the whole family with us, there's going to be an NV 2.0 to suit your needs. So in summary, if you have very nice bikes that you want to proudly display on the back of your vehicle with a nice rack, the NV 2.0 is the one for you. Now, I see this bike rack a lot out on the open road, and it's usually people with nice vehicles and nice bikes because, let's face it, this is a premium tier bike rack. It's certainly not cheap, but it definitely gives you a lot of great features, and you're going to be proud to display this on the back of your vehicle. And that's going to do it today for our look at the Kuat NV 2.0 bike rack here on our 2021 Jeep Grand Cherokee L.
First, we'll take it onto our slalom course. This will show you the side-to-side action, such as making turns or evasive maneuvers. Now we're at the alternating speed bumps. This will show you how it looks driving on uneven pavement or potholes. Finally, we're at the solid speed bumps, which simulates going into your driveway or parking lots.